Welcome back to Carneades.org. Today we're going to be looking at the question, does rationality require reflection? Or an appendix to Pura and Hume have a Zoom call. Now, rationality is an important and central concept in philosophy, but there remains disagreement between philosophers as to what actually counts as rationality. Now, recently I had a chat with the YouTube philosopher Kane B, who was defending a particular view of rationality. We didn't dig too deep into the position in the call, and we kind of bounced around a little bit in a way that might have left viewers unsatisfied with kind of what our views on this. So I want to take a chance to do a bit of a better job of outlining his position as I understand it, and give some more specifics around the concerns I have with such a position. Let's take a look. So, in the conversation, Kane was defending the claim that rationality really requires two things: internally, logically consistent beliefs, i.e., you don't have any beliefs that together imply a contradiction or on their own imply a contradiction, and generally successful action. You have to succeed at the things that you're trying to do. I'm concerned with this view for a couple of reasons. It seems to give away the ability of rationality to settle disagreements while sanctioning unjustified beliefs so long as they remain consistent with all your other beliefs. So it seems to sanction someone as rational regardless of what they believe, so long as there aren't any specific contradictions within their belief structure. Now, to get a sense of why this is concerning, imagine two people who hold different foundational beliefs on faith, but who have other beliefs that are consistent with their foundational beliefs. All of their beliefs are internally consistent, but their foundational beliefs, those things that they take on faith, are completely different. Such individuals could not settle disagreements rationally because they take different beliefs as axiomatic. This seems to give away kind of the payload of rationality for being able to reason with someone. What good is rationality if we can't reason with someone? So you might imagine subject one that has the foundational belief that P implies Q, and also Q. So they have three beliefs. One of them is foundational, that they take on faith. Maybe P implies Q is from observations in the world, and they'd be willing to give it up if they found contrary information, and Q. And we have subject 2 that has the foundational belief that not Q, P implies Q, and therefore they conclude not P. So each of these individuals has internally consistent beliefs, but they couldn't settle any disagreement between them because any disagreement they had would come down to their foundational beliefs that they disagree on. And so I'm hesitant to say that these individuals are rational. Now, for a more concrete example, we could take the case of the religious fanatic, one who holds a fundamental belief that, let's say, they receive direct revelation from their deity. Their claims are internally logically consistent, but their actions are generally successful, but they form troublesome beliefs, like anyone of a different religion should be killed. If you try to reason with them, their response is to simply tell you that they've received revelation from God. God knows all and is all good, so these commandments must be correct. They're consistent, at least internally, and successful, but I'm really worried to call them rational. They can't be reasoned with, and they don't seem to have any level of questioning of their own beliefs. They seem completely immune to contrary evidence, and no amount of reasoning with them would change their mind. This doesn't seem like the kind of person we would want to call rational, and it seems a big bullet to bite. Now, one potential revision to his view that Kane mentioned, though I don't want to describe him as adopting, was the potential to require critical reflection for rationality, which might allow us to call someone who doesn't question their beliefs irrational. Though at various points he seemed comfortable with accepting the fact that a fanatic similar to one described here was rational, or claimed that successful action requires critical reflection. So critical reflection isn't an independent condition, but rather simply something that will follow, or that if you have successful action, you're probably engaging in critical reflection. Now, this second claim seems challenging to me, as someone might be able to hold one very irrational belief, but many other propositional attitudes that allow them to act very successfully. He gave at least one counterexample that he acknowledged within our discussion. Fanatics do far more mundane actions than irrational ones. And so it seems we could say that broadly their actions are described as successful, even if they're not engaging in critical reflection. So, additionally, I would take this a step further. If we allow that critical reflection is a requisite component of rationality, it seems to me that the only rational people are skeptics. And here's why. As critical reflection turned on any belief will show that such a belief is completely unjustified. Kane was concerned that my goal was to call those who believe one set of consistent views rational, while those who believe a different set of views irrational at one point in the discussion. But this isn't in fact my view as a skeptic. Rather, my concern is that any set of views is irrational because it's based on unjustified claims. This was to say, I'm not trying to parse the difference between blind faith and a rational foundationalist belief. From the perspective of a skeptic, all foundational beliefs are a certain level of blind faith. As a skeptic, I'm worried that any belief falls into that category, and he as a fallibilist, to a certain degree, is similarly concerned, at least in terms of justification. We seem to agree that there is an issue with determining that one set of beliefs is more justified than another. But we have different responses. His seems to be, believe whatever you want, so long as it's internally consistent and your actions are successful. While my response is to doubt all beliefs, as none of them seem to be justified. But I may be wrong about his position. So, if no one pocket of beliefs can better withstand critical reflection than another, as the fallibilist and the skeptic both seem to suggest, we have two options. We're either to declare religious fanatics with no critical reflection rational because they have a set of beliefs that's internally consistent and we can't say anything more about them, or concede that our only real option, if we actually turn that critical reflection on our beliefs, is to be skeptics because we can see that they're all equally unjustified. Note that this is an argument specifically against fallibilists, such as Kane B, who are claiming that we don't have justification or we don't have certain beliefs in anything. Now, he might come back and say that we can have degrees and we may be able to parse this out further. But I do think there's a concern here that if we don't have critical reflection in our definition of rationality, it doesn't look like rationality. And if we add it, there's a strong case for being a skeptic. But what do you think? Is critical reflection an essential component of rationality? Does it lead to skepticism? Or can you be reflective and find some beliefs justified and others wanting? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Once again, thanks a lot to Kane B for the discussion we had earlier. Look forward to hopefully future discussions and debates around these kinds of issues. Watch this video and more here at Carneades.org and stay skeptical.